A strange man keeps coming to my orphanage and he's taking me next. I didn't want to have to say anything more on the matter. I saw a lot of people asking for updates, but I never intended to have to speak about this ever again. I'm nearly old enough to leave the orphanage, so I was hoping I could put this out in the open and have some authoritative figure take notice, without me having to speak about it ever again. But here I am. Not because I was asked. Not because I wanted to. So why are you updating us, then? Because I'm next. Shortly after Katie left, the man came back. Katie wasn't with him. He didn't even have anything from her to give to us. He mentioned nothing about her. Just like with every other child he took, he acted as if they'd never existed. I hated him for taking her. My hatred for him grew stronger with every person that he took from our orphanage. So when he walked back in a few weeks later, it took all I had not to attack him on the spot. He walked in as if he owned the place, his head held high and his hands hidden within his pockets. There was a noticeable shadow of stubble across his chin, and his eyes were bloodshot. I noticed that he was wearing a bandage around his left hand and I could see the dried blood through it. A thought raced through my mind, is it Katie's blood? But I was unable to ask any questions in that moment. He briskly walked through the orphanage and into the room reserved for staff only. He didn't acknowledge any of the children, which was rather strange for him. Usually he would be making conversation with anyone that would go near him. Usually he would be offering candy and hugs and a future full of hope. I paced back and forth in my room after his arrival, muttering to my friends. I have to do something. I told them, only for them to tell me that there was nothing I could have done. It was frustrating to me that he was getting away with so much. And then there was a knock on our door. "You're wanted," was all they said. I numbly walked along behind them. We entered a small room with 2 chairs and a simple coffee table placed in front of a window overlooking the garden. The man sat in one of the chairs, his head turned out of the window. There was a cup of tea placed in front of him, a spoon laying beside it. I stood in the doorway, jumping when I heard the door close behind me. I was alone with him. I was alone with the man that had taken all of my friends. What did he want? Was he going to kill me there and then for speaking out against him? Part of my mind was telling me to make my move. I had ample opportunity to get revenge. But for some reason, I was frozen to the spot. As usual, something about his aura was dangerous enough to make my heart race. "Sit," he instructed. And the harshness of his voice made my feet move. I hesitated before sitting in front of him. But I sat. My posture was rigid, and I was prepared to run at any moment. "You seem frightened," his voice held some humor within it. Did he find it amusing? When his head turned to face me, I could see his eyes sparkling. "How sadistic. You think I'm a monster." "You are." "And why is that?" "You take my friends. You kill them." He laughed. "Where is your proof?" My hands were shaking at my sides. I had so much anger bubbling within me. My anger was swirling and mixing with frustration. I was too scared to do anything. I was too fearful to even properly speak back to him. It felt as if I was shackled to the chair, as if there was something stuck in my throat. "You have none." His voice was loud, resonating around the room as if he owned the place. He was so arrogant, so sure of himself. "So why don't you come with me? Maybe you can find the proof you so desperately want." His eyes still glimmered, sadistic and hungry. I stared back at him, trying not to throw up there and then. As much as I wanted to be able to save my friends, I didn't want to be taken by him. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to face whatever horrors awaited me. "It's not as if I get a choice, is it?" I spat back. His only response was another laugh. Shivers raced through my body and I felt my heart leaping into my chest. I couldn't quite accept the reality. I always tried to play the brave one. For so long, I had spoken to my friends about being the one to go in their place. I had promised that if I made it out without being chosen, I would immediately contact the authorities and save them. But here I was. I was being taken, but I felt all of my bravery slipping away from me. I wasn't given a choice. So here I am, sitting in the back of his car as he drives me to whatever horror is waiting for me on the other side. His car is small. I refuse to sit in the front seat beside him, of course. But I regret sitting in the back. There are weird stains on the chairs. I can't tell if they're blood stains or vomit stains. But it smells. It smells sickly and the stench is caught in my throat. A blanket is thrown across one of the chairs and I can see a vibrant red patch on one of the corners. Blood. And it's fresh. My eyes keep darting up to the mirror, where I always see his eyes staring back at me. His icy eyes that seem to pierce straight through my entire being. I swear I can see all the ways he intends to torture me being reflected in his pupils. Knives, chainsaws, starvation. When he placed my bag into the trunk of his car, I saw a shovel. I could see fresh dirt covering the handle. Perhaps he was intending to take me into the woods somewhere and bury me alive. Maybe he had used the shovel to bury Katie. I felt sick. No. I can't be weak. For everyone that has been taken by him, I will do my best to find something. Anything. Every now and then, I glance out of the window to see where he is taking me. I watch the buildings from the main town dart by. I glance back at him. Each time I look outside, the landscape becomes more and more sparse. I see fewer buildings, fewer streetlights. I glance back at him. And then we are on the outskirts of town, driving up an awkward dirt track. There are tall, overgrown hedges on either side of the roads. They block out the other surroundings, casting long shadows across the car. I can make out a large mansion waiting for us at the end of the dirt track. The car pulls up through wrought iron gates, big and black and intimidating. The man stops and locks the gates behind us before allowing me to get out of the car. He takes my bag and demands that I follow closely behind him. I can't even speak. My mind doesn't want to accept that I am finally being faced with something I have dreaded for so long. He locks the main doors behind the two of us, placing the key into one of his pockets. There is a huge staircase in front of us, which splits off into two directions. I stumble along in silence as he leads me up the stairs and to the left. Hallways branch off in both directions, they are so long that they fade off into shadow. I can just about make out several doors on either side, but they are all closed. The man leads me down one of the hallways. We walk and walk and walk. It is only when we reach the very end of the hallway that he opens one of the doors for me. I am greeted by another set of stairs, but these are wooden, old and rickety. They are nothing like the grand, marble staircase that greeted me at the entrance. Go. I nod feebly. The stairs creak loudly beneath my feet. He drops my bag at my feet and I bend to pick it up. As I am bending over, I hear him slam the door shut. It locks. I am trapped. Gulping, I continue my ascent. It is completely dark around me now. I have one hand dragging along the wall to guide me. My eyes are squinted and I walk on for what feels like forever. But I begin to see a faint light, the rays flickering through the darkness. I push my way through a worn, wooden door at the top of this long staircase. The box room that greets me seems almost normal. A bed, some drawers, a closet, a mirror. A door leading into an even smaller bathroom, although it looks like it could use some cleaning. But a second glance makes my heart stop. Katie's worn teddy bear. Oliver's red hat. A faded purple scarf. The belongings of every child that he has ever taken. I drop to my knees, my bag falling from my back. Where are they? What has he done with them? The tears fall from my eyes and I let out a howling scream. I can't hold it back. As certain as we were, a part of me had always hoped that perhaps it was just our imaginations going wild. A tiny part of me had always hoped that the reason they never wrote back was because they were so happy and content with their new life. But my suspicions were confirmed. Everything was true. I screamed. Again and again. I hated him. I hate him. I don't want him to get away with this. So why don't you do something? I will. I don't know how, but I will do something. I just hope I can survive long enough.